Even with the rise of digital books and e-readers, sales of print books have increased over the last 4 years by 8%. James Brown is at a small bookstore in Leonardtown, Maryland, with the effort to make books as glamorous as movies. JB, good morning.
Charlie, how are you? And you are exactly correct. And to paraphrase Mark Twain, the death of books is greatly exaggerated. Now, unfortunately, while a number of large bookstore chains are closing, independent bookstores like Fenwick Books here in Leonardtown have increased over the past couple of years. Charlie, I met an impressive young lady whose job it is to make sure that that trend continues.
So these are the Sears National Book Award winners. We're really excited. So Colson won the Underground Railroad.
When Lisa Lucas talks about books, it seems like she's read every volume in the world.
And then this is one of my favorites, Ibram X. Kendi's Stamped from the Beginning.
As the executive director of the National Book Foundation, she calls herself a cheerleader for literature.
Why do you think books need to have a cheerleader?
Well, I do think that books tend to get short shrift in the cultural world. And yet every single child that makes it to school gets a book, learns through books. We're a part of everyone's life, and yet it somehow seems like it's this niche thing. Except just because it's also good for you doesn't mean that it can't be great.
I'm brand new.
Lucas is the first woman and African American to lead the nonprofit foundation, which hands out the prestigious National Book Awards. Since 1950, the awards have honored some of the greatest writers in American history: William Faulkner, Ralph Ellison, Susan Sontag.
This honor with this, it's too much.
Last year, Congressman John Lewis won in the Young Literature category for his novel on civil rights.
I loved this book. I loved this book so much.
But the foundation's main goal is to promote a love of writing, and that's why it hired its youngest leader. At 37, Lucas maintains a schedule that takes her all over the country. One of her main initiatives is a book club called Book Up.
Book Up is a program that we run in Los Angeles and in Detroit and in New York and also in Huntsville, Texas. And it's like a 24-week program where a young person will work with a published author, a group of young people, and we provide all the National Book Award finalists from that year in young people's literature. So they get free copies of those books. Fiction, nonfiction, poetry.
This program in Brooklyn has clearly made an impact on these middle schoolers.
In this program, I believe I read up to 15 to 30 books a year. I like visualizing what's happening in the text, and I like predicting what's gonna happen.
Reading is kind of like an escape. When you read, you could actually visualize a better world or maybe someone else's life.
I want a paragraph on what you think it's gonna be about, all right?
Author Mitchell Jackson runs the class and says he gets a lot out of it too.
I'm inspired every week I come in this class, and I leave out of here and I'm like, okay, so what are we gonna do next week? How am I gonna keep this going?
Raise your hand if you like books.
Keeping it going is just what Ms. Lucas is determined to do.
Current President Donald Trump has indicated that he may be targeting the National Endowment for the Arts and Humanities. How will that impact what you're trying to do?
We lose funding. And for a nonprofit, and for a small nonprofit, I think people don't always realize how small we are. That matters. You know, we have to figure out how to make up that difference.
Are you on his calendar?
Definitely not.
The foundation has a small $1.2 million budget and is only staffed by 8 people. But Lisa Lucas has a vision that is very big, even for the stodgy National Book Awards.
Why isn't our celebration as well known as the Tonys or the Emmys or the Country Music Awards? I'm constantly scrambling to try and watch the Oscar films before the Oscars happen every year. What if we did that with books? I think you really can make sure that just like film, just like television and music and theater, that this is a part of our cultural fabric.
Norah, Charlie, and Alex, my 3 well-read colleagues. Surely you know that authors do get understated recognition, but Lisa Lucas's aim is to make certain that they're treated like rock stars. And with her passion and enthusiasm, I wouldn't bet against her. Back to you, Norah.
Oh, brilliant piece, JB.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for highlighting all that Lisa does.
Anything that elevates the written word.